Yeah, Joseph Gould could very well be the first case where we were able to get a police officer indicted and he went to prison. Officer Becker, I forget exactly. Joseph Gould was a homeless man who, like, homeless people have different ways of surviving. Many of them sold newspapers for Streetwise. So he had done some of that. But, one of the things he did, if you pull up to a red light, you see sometimes homeless people will have a little bottle of water and they would spray it on your windshield and clean it off and then ask you for a tip. Well, that's what he was doing. So Becker had been out with his girlfriend at some bar, and what we understand, they came out and got in the car, and Joseph Gould put a little water on the windshield, and he got out of the car, Becker, and shot him, and let him pull off and let him lie in the street, and he died. And so there were a couple of teenagers that saw it, and I got a call about it, and we saw it in the newspaper. And the teenagers saw the guy do it, and we had talked to them, and we were trying to protect them. And so we had a press conference. I called a press conference, and I was working, I would say I was one of the key figures, and Bobby Rush, who was an alderman at the time, was also very active. So it was me and Bobby, and we had known each other since the Panther days. And so, we kept it in the press, and there were attacks in the press. I remember waking up one morning and reading the Tribune, and they had an editorial that Alderman Bobby Rush and Stan Willis should be indicted because the teenagers that saw it, we refused to give their names because we were afraid that they would intimidate them and we would lose witnesses, so we just refused to do it. And so that's what the Tribune was trying to flush that out, I think. And we still didn't give it up until, we knew they would be safe. And so Joseph Gould, Becker apparently had a preliminary hearing, and they had decided there wasn't enough evidence. So they threw the case out. And so me being a lawyer, I knew that there was another level. So we started demanding that it go before the grand jury. And there was enough pressure in the media. And it went before a grand jury, he got indicted. And he was charged, and I think, there's always some level of not wanting to indict cops. So I think they charged him with second-degree murder or something when it wasn't second. It was clearly first-degree murder. So he went to prison, but he didn't do much time because of the way they charged it. And they always figure out a way to do that. And I think they do that, in my view, because judges and prosecutors are afraid of the fraternal order of police because they're well organized, and they don't tolerate judges or prosecutors going after any of their members. I mean, we've seen evidence of that. So, but my position, we just have to have a force in the community that's counterbalance that and not tolerate judges letting cops off the hook. Solve the problem. But let me say that I wasn't representing Joseph Gould's family. I never met the family. We decided this was such a unacceptable act that we just organized to get justice. I never met the family. We got justice. No, the family never came forward. I don't know if anybody filed a lawsuit. I have no idea about that. But it happened to somebody in our community, and we weren't going to tolerate it. So we sent him to prison. He was the first one. And I think the second one that I had played part in sending to prison was probably John Burge, because I talked to my colleagues into taking the case international. And he went to prison. He didn't do enough time either. They don't do enough time compared to the crimes that they commit.
I think both of them did 4 years.
Yeah, that's about right, yeah. I really believe it's the first one. Nobody, once we got the victory, nobody can say, yeah, well, this happened before. I don't think it ever happened before, that officer was. Now, officers have been prosecuted, but they're prosecuted for, there was a prosecutor from officers shaking down drug dealers. But prosecuted for killing a black man or a black woman never happened. But prosecuted for gambling or shaking down drug dealers, yeah. In fact, I represented an officer shaking down drug dealers. So those kind of prosecution, it's a different kind of prosecution. You know, it's a prosecution that tells the world that you can't just kill black people like that. There's a consequence. But to tell them you can't shake down drug dealers, you know, that's a whole different story that you're telling. You could kill black folks, but you can't shake down drug dealers. You go to jail for not killing black people. You know, so we were very, it was a major victory sending this guy to prison, but it was a defeat because he didn't stay long enough for murder.